Some stories, they're more than just stories, right? They're almost like these psychological viruses that manage to survive for centuries. Today, we're diving into one of the most persistent ones out there, an ancient horror known simply as the AO Enigma. For hundreds and hundreds of years, this one particular story has just been lurking in the shadows of history. It's like a narrative ghost, this chilling idea that has haunted generation after generation, and it just refuses to go away. So that brings us to the big question, the one we're here to answer. What is the AO Enigma? And more importantly, what makes it so uniquely terrifying? When you boil it all down, AO is a deep psychological horror. This isn't your typical monster with claws and fangs, not at all. It's more of a contagious idea. It's this unsettling concept, first written down in the old sagas, about a patch of ocean so supernaturally silent it could actually steal your sanity. And this idea, born so long ago, has somehow managed to adapt and evolve, finding new ways to get under our skin in every era. Now, what's really fascinating is where this whole story kicks off. You might think, it came from some dusty old manuscript or a forgotten ruin, but nope. Its roots are actually tangled up with one of the most famous figures of the entire Viking Age, Eric the Red. And this is where things get really weird. See, on one hand, you have the historical figure, Eric the Red, a legendary explorer, a hero from the Icelandic sagas. But then, on the other hand, woven right into his famous story is the AO Enigma, this persistent, deeply unsettling psychological terror. So how in the world did a celebrated tale of adventure give birth to a horror story that just won't die? To figure that out, we've got to go back to the source. We need to find that exact moment in the original saga where this little seed of horror was first planted. So we're peeling back all these layers of myth to find that starting point. And the craziest part is, the terror of AO, well, it wasn't added in later retellings. It's right there in the original text. It's in this strange, cryptic passage that talks about the crew sailing into a fog so thick it swallowed sound, a place where even the waves went silent. That fear, it was there from the very beginning. Now, a story born in the Viking Age doesn't survive for 1,000 years by accident. So, how did this very specific horror manage to spread and stick around long after the last Viking longships had rotted into the ground? I mean, its resilience is just incredible. What started as one creepy passage in a Viking saga soon broke free, becoming a folktale told around medieval fires, a sailor's warning about the deaf sea. And today, the core of that same terror is still being reimagined, popping up in everything from psychological thrillers to those online creepypastas about weird, empty spaces. Okay, so we've covered the what and the how, but that leads us to the most compelling question of all: why? Why does this ancient story, born from a Viking adventure, still have the power to get under our skin today? The answer really lies in what we call primal fears. See, the AO Enigma works so well because it doesn't try to invent a new fear. It taps into the ones that are already hardwired into us as human beings. That fear of the dark, of being totally cut off from your senses, of some ancient evil you just can't understand. The AO Enigma is pretty much the perfect cocktail of these anxieties. It plays on our fear of the unknown and that chilling idea that maybe the horrors of history can come back. But the real genius here is how it takes a trusted story, a hero's journey, and just twists it, corrupting something familiar and turning it into a source of absolute dread. So ultimately, the AO Enigma has lasted this long because it's way more than just a story. It's a mirror. It uses the past, the lens of history, to reflect our own deepest and most timeless anxieties right back at us. And that leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought. If a Viking-era saga could accidentally create a psychological horror that lasts 1,000 years, what stories are we telling right now? What modern myths, born from our own unique anxieties about technology, society, and the future, are we creating today that might just end up haunting generations to come?